One night I am with my girlfriend doing romance with her in my bedroom. After ejaculate, she'll wear her cloth and go into her house. Full night I am thinking. I used to believe pleasure was harmless because everyone around me said it was normal. I chased it in silence, thinking I was winning something. I felt free on the surface, but empty underneath. Every night ended the same way, relief, followed by a strange drop like gravity, suddenly remembered me. I never questioned it until I noticed something unsettling. People stopped taking me seriously without saying a word. That was the beginning of awareness. There was no dramatic collapse, no explosion, no intervention, just subtle signals. Conversations felt off. Eye contact broke faster. People explained things to me slowly, as if I had already fallen behind. I could feel myself shrinking socially while still pretending everything was fine. This confusion was worse than failure. Because I had no enemy to blame, only later did I realize something invisible was leaking out of me day after day. Modern life trains men to discharge everything instantly. Desire, emotion, frustration, ambition. We are told release equals health, but no one talks about what constant release removes. When I stopped for the first time, not by discipline but by exhaustion, something unexpected happened. Silence appeared inside me, not peace yet, just quiet, and in that quiet, I began to notice how much of my personality had been noised. The first thing that changed was urgency. I did not notice it leaving until it was gone. I stopped rushing, replies stopped filling silence, stopped explaining myself too much, conversations slowed down. People leaned in. I was not trying to dominate, I simply no longer needed the moment to validate me. That shift alone changed how rooms responded to me without effort, without intention, without strategy. What most men call confidence is actually tension, dressed up as bravado. True hierarchy does not respond to performance, it responds to need. The one who needs less controls the frame. Semen retention did not give me power, it removed desperation. I was no longer leaking energy through speech, facial expression, or constant reaction, and the absence of that leak was louder than any words I could have used. Retention is misunderstood as denial. It is not. It is storage. Energy saved becomes pressure. Pressure applied over time becomes structure. I did not feel stronger immediately, but I became heavier internally, like something was condensing. Inside that weight, discipline formed naturally, not forced, not motivational. Just inevitable. I began finishing what I started because wasting energy suddenly felt painful. Nothing external changed at first. Same city, same routines, same people, same hierarchy, but internally, I was rearranging. Retention does not elevate you quickly, it prepares you slowly, it builds capacity without applause. Most men want results without structure. When pressure comes, they crack retention delays. Reward long enough for you to become the kind of man who does not collapse when opportunity arrives. As days passed, I noticed gaps, others ignored inefficiencies in systems. Weak leadership, not emotionally, but functionally. I stopped complaining and started fixing without asking permission. I did not announce ambition, I simply handled what others avoided. Power does not respond to desire, it responds to preparation. When a vacuum appears, the prepared man does not rush forward, he is already there. This is where the myth breaks. Retention does not make you dominant, it makes you contain power. Power settles only where it will not be wasted. Most men repel it because they leak through impatience, ego, and pleasure. Retention seals the container. And once sealed, pressure builds until eventually influence forms without declaration, without force, without performance. Another shift appeared, unpredictability, not chaos but presence. When drained, I used to react automatically, laugh on cue, agree quickly, mirror energy. Retention broke that loop. I began pausing before responding. Silence stopped feeling threatening. I did not always give people what they expected. That small disruption made people pay attention because the human mind focuses on what it cannot immediately decode. Predictability feels safe, but safety does not command respect. Controlled unpredictability creates gravity. I was not mysterious on purpose. I was simply no longer programmable. My reactions came from choice, not habit. That created subtle tension, not fear. Focused. People listened more carefully, watched more closely. Influence formed, not because I spoke more, but because I reacted less. In hierarchies, the hardest person to place often carries the most weight. Not loud, not aggressive, not dominant. Just grounded. Others orbit what does not move. Retention anchored me internally, so external chaos stopped pulling me around. When you are not chasing approval, people feel it instantly. They stop assuming access to your attention, energy, and time. Decisions were the next evolution before retention. My choices floated. I said yes, to avoid discomfort, maybe to avoid conflict. No, with explanation. Retention sharpened decision. Gravity. When I chose something, it landed. I stopped over-explaining, stopped justifying. Silence did the work. My no was clean. My yes was deliberate. People adjusted without argument. Most men are light, easily pushed, easily persuaded, easily bent by tone, urgency, or validation. They betray their own boundaries in real time, then resent it later. Retention anchored my decisions deeper than mood. There was no debate leaking through my voice that solidity could not be negotiated with, and people sensed it before they understood it. When decisions carry weight, dynamics change, requests become careful, negotiations slow down, testing stops. Not because of intimidation, but because boundaries become real. Gravity does not argue. It pulls. When you move, it is intentional. When you stop, it is deliberate. Rooms adjust automatically, because certainty reshapes behavior without words. Then came the clearest signal. People began orienting around my reactions. Conversations paused, waiting for my response. Explanations arrived without being asked. Silence became information. I did not assert control. My internal world simply became more stable than theirs. Humans instinctively orbit stability. That is hierarchy, not aggression, not dominance, just gravity. This is what most miss. Retention does not add power. It removes behaviors that lower rank: chasing, urgency, emotional leakage, constant validation seeking. When those disappear, what remains is presence. And presence restructures environments. Silently you stop broadcasting need, and when need disappears, hierarchy rearranges itself. Semen is not just fluid, it is biological intent, condensed. It carries creative force, whether expressed outward or refined inward. Modern life treats it as disposable, but anything capable of creating life contains the blueprint for creation. Beyond biology, when retained consciously, that energy redirects into focus, discipline, and long-term vision. Ancient systems understood this intuitively. Modern systems deny it, because disciplined men are hard to control. Retention builds patience in a world addicted to speed. It trains you to wait without stagnating, to act without desperation, to build without applause. That is how empires form quietly before they are visible. The seed metaphor is not poetic, it is practical. A seed wasted produces nothing. A seed planted with care transforms environments. Seedmen retained becomes fuel for systems, habits, structures, and influence. This is not mysticism, it is energy economics. What you conserve compounds. What you leak disappears in modern life. Distractions exist to drain men. Constantly exhausted men are compliant. Men retention disrupts that cycle. It restores internal sovereignty. When pleasure stops being your regulator, you regain command over direction. Purpose replaces impulse. Structure replaces chaos. This path is not glamorous. Early stages feel empty because dopamine drops. Identity reshapes. Many quit here, mistaking withdrawal for failure. But those who persist cross a threshold where calm replaces craving, clarity replaces noise, and from that clarity, execution becomes effortless. Retention sharpens perception. You notice patterns, manipulation, inefficiencies. You stop reacting emotionally and start responding strategically. This is not coldness, it is alignment. Emotion stops driving the wheel and becomes data instead. Leadership emerges naturally here, not by title, but by function. You solve problems others avoid. You stabilize situations others panic. In authority follows competence. Without announcement, that is how real power moves. If this video gave you real value, tap the thanks button. Your support helps me keep creating deeper content like this. Every thanks is a spark that keeps this mission alive. Your support means more than you know. Modern culture sells confidence through appearance, volume, and assertion. Retention reveals confidence as absence of internal conflict. When nothing inside you is pulling you apart, nothing outside can move you easily. This is why people react differently. They are not responding to words, they are responding to coherence. When your internal signals align externally, trust forms automatically. The universe responds to order more than desire. Retention builds order internally. When internal order stabilizes, external influence expands. This is not domination, it is alignment with natural law. Most men chase outcomes. Wealth, respect, attraction. Retention flips the equation. Build a container, and outcomes arrive, chasing you. This is why retention feels invisible, but its effects are undeniable. No announcement, no validation, just results. Power does not need to introduce itself, it is recognized. The seed retained becomes the force that shapes systems, families, movements, and legacy. This is real, this is observable, and this is why it works. Those who understand this stop arguing, they start building, and the world adjusts around them.